Hello, this is Lisa LeRose here on Connect to Love on PRNFM, and I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Michael J. Russ. First, I want to say welcome, Michael. It's so great to be with you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. It's always awesome to be here with you. Again, I look forward to this hour we spend together every single week. It's fun for me, and it's inspiring and motivating to me, and gets me focused and centered. And I hope it's doing the same for our listeners.
Yes, I do. And I want to say thank you from so many people. You shared with me a video, and I actually posted it to our Instagram page on Connect to Love Energy. And it was all about your chance meeting with a family and giving life experiences rather than something else that we don't need. And I thought it would be such a wonderful topic for those listeners that may not have had an opportunity to see that amazing video. Would you share a little bit about that, and then maybe they can tune into it afterwards?
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, they can tune into our Instagram page at Connect to Love Energy. I took a trip to Cabo San Lucas, as I do every 2 years, to a place that we have down there. And I've said this before, I am constantly observing people. I am tuned into things that are happening around me, and I ask questions. I see how they fit. I look at other people's behavior. And I was taking a bus with my girlfriend from the Westin in LAX, the airport Westin, to the airport to check in to get on the plane and go to Cabo. And it was a beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning. And when I stepped onto the bus, all the luggage had gotten on. She had already been on there, and I just finished checking out. And I sat down and looked to my left, and there were about 8 people, a family of 8. And several adults and 2 children. It was a Latino family, and they were all dressed in T-shirts that said the same thing. I can't tell you what it said because I wasn't really focused on that. I just noticed that they were all exactly the same, and I said, "Hey, what's going on here?" And the patriarch of the family said, "Hey, it's his 5th birthday, and we're taking him to Reno, Nevada, to the Monster Truck Jam." And I said, "Really?" And at first I looked at him and I said, "Happy birthday, young man. I know you're going to have such a great time with your family." And he goes, "Thank you." And I said, "Great." And I said to myself, and I said, "You guys travel safely and have a great time." And I sat there and I thought about it on the bus. And the only thing that went through my mind was for his 5th birthday, it's a milestone birthday. He's about to start 1st grade, I think. Or kindergarten. I think it's kindergarten at 5. I don't know. I don't have kids, and I apologize if that's incorrect. However, they could have stayed home. They could have had this big party and had a bunch of people over and showered him with a bunch of gifts. I don't know if they actually did that too. However, I'm making a wild guess here and saying that they decided to take the money they would have spent on gifts, and they chose instead to buy airline tickets for everyone and fly north to Reno for this Monster Truck Jam as a family. And I was thinking to myself, how cool, because when that child is 70, he's not going to remember anything. Nobody ever remembers what they got for their birthday, not even last year, not even this year. You don't remember what you got for your birthday if you received a gift. However, if you had an awesome experience, you remember that. And that child at 7 years old will remember the Monster Truck Jam with his entire family. He's going to remember it. And that is the takeaway. And that's the video I did on the beach when I was down in Cabo. I just kept thinking about it. It was on my mind. I told my girlfriend, I got to go out. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. I said, I got to go out and shoot this video because it's in my head. It's rolling around and it won't leave. And I have to go get it out.
What a gift,
similar to, yeah. I mean, it's like it was awesome. And I'm thinking to myself, there aren't a lot of families I know that would actually do that. I mean, my girlfriend's got her son lives down the street. They go to Disney World all the time, about 4 times a year. However, they do have birthday parties. They do give gifts and everything. And so, Christmas is a big gift-giving time. And I've always said, for youth, for children growing up, it's the experiences that you want them to have, the positive experiences that they can hold on to forever. And that was just so neat to be able to experience that and then share that with our listeners.
Right. You posted that. You sent me that video, and it's interesting because I had started re-listening to Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Work Week, and it's so interesting. Have you ever heard of the book, or have you ever read it?
Yeah, I have read it. Yeah.
Okay.
We read it a long time ago.
Yeah, and that sort of, a lot of times I have these things and I get a little itch to revisit them. There was something, wisdom in there that I needed to reconnect with. Well, I found out that he has actually revised it. But for, for what it's worth, it just was a good reminder for me to simplify. I'm trying to simplify my life. And you think about all of the things in life that sort of keep you from those experiences. You have this fire you put out and that fire you put out. And I loved what he said. He said something about returning to being a 2-year-old, where 2-year-olds always say, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. No, simplifying. And it really, and what it was for him was about don't wait until you retire to have these life experiences. You don't ever know if you have a tomorrow. So, I kept thinking about that, how many times that I've had that opportunity. When I went to Africa, that sort of was how that came about. I had gone to an event with Dr. Bartlett, who I've studied with for a long time, and when I was in line, there was a gentleman. I could sort of feel his energy that he wanted to have a conversation with my friend and I. And he was by himself, and I said, do you want to join us for lunch? So we did, and he was a physician from South Carolina, and we had a really wonderful and delightful lunch and kind of worked together over the next few days. And when we got in, we exchanged information, and then when I got in the car with my friend Jolene to go back to the airport, the driver, I looked at his name tag, and I'm like, oh, you're from Africa. He said, yes, I'm from Kenya. I said, oh, you know what? I had a trip planned to go before 9/11, and I never rescheduled it. And I said, one of these days I'm going to go to Africa. And she said, well, you're really good at manifesting. Why don't you put that out there? So I did. I said, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going to go to Africa. And it was maybe a week later, the doctor that I met, coincidentally in the lunch line, called me and said, there's a group of us that are going to Africa, and I would love for you to come. I said, that's wonderful, but I don't have the funds right now. And he said, well, let me call you back. And he did a few days later, and everything was arranged so that I could go and volunteer in a hospital in Africa. And it was, I cleared out 2 weeks of my schedule. It wasn't all just work. We had some amazing experiences on safari. I got to commune with the elephants and all of these amazing wonderful little baboons that wanted to steal our lunch and whatnot. But you know what? It was an amazing journey, and the people were so incredible. That what's interesting, and I think that for many Americans, we are so blessed with such a great healthcare system. But what a lot of people don't realize is that in Africa, if your family doesn't come and cook for you, you don't eat. It's right. So you see and you meet all of these amazing people that are coming to support their family members. And I worked a lot in the children's area and also with the physiotherapist there. And I still keep in contact with the one young man, Daniel. But, there's so much about that trip from beginning to end that just was transformative. And it was just a matter of saying, yes, you know what, I'll clear my schedule and being open to what the universe had to bring forth. And the people that touched my life there, I really was never, ever the same. And one of these days I will make it back. It's sort of on my bucket list of things to do. And, Glenn Brooks, who founded the Vibrant Living Network, which is where Michael and I met each other, always used to say, what would you do if you knew it was impossible to fail? And I think that goes a lot in alignment with life experiences, whether it be something that you want to accomplish or actually just taking that leap of faith and stepping out. I certainly didn't know this doctor from anybody. I mean, I could have been whisked away to a foreign country and who knows what else. But I just trusted that everything was going to be aligned perfectly, and it was. I mean, everything from the driver that picked us up and the big, huge potholes that you could lose your car in. It was just a magical experience, So, Michael, I know that you have had some incredible experiences. Was there something unexpected that, the universe put forth to you that you said yes, and it transformed who you were?
Wow. Aside from every single time, every 2 years when my father came home and said, okay, I got to go somewhere new, and actually sat the family down together. It was great. My father was not somebody who would just come home and say, hey, I'm going here, I'm going there. He actually came and he said, here are my three choices. And one of them would not be a choice that he wanted to go to. He'd say, okay, that one's done. How about this place or this place? And we would always choose the most exotic place. Because, with Taiwan in the 60s, I mean, come on, there wasn't running water, indoor plumbing, or anything else like that in most of the area where we lived outside of our compound. However, and the people had never seen a black person before in the 60s. It was a primitive area of Taiwan where the base was located. So you want to talk about life-changing. Every time we moved somewhere, every time we went somewhere, it was a life-changing situation. Something I call them building blocks for my own character and over time. And he was so beautiful in the way that he would, he'd encourage us to. He'd say, "Let's go here. We've never been over there before. It'll be an adventure." And that is really what I grew up to understand: is that life is an adventure. For my mother and my father, they made it an adventure. And when we went to when we got there, we would always take hops, military hops, to places that, that we had never been to, for exotic places. So we'd get on a hop. During the time in the 60s, it was during the Vietnam War, so the hops that we took were military transports, planes that would also, that troops would parachute out of. So we're talking about, when you're seeing in a movie that has a C-130 or a jet KC-135, something that has the back come down and trucks drive in, vehicles drive in, and people jump out the back of it. The whole door comes down. That's what we rode in. That was the exact vehicle we rode in. There was no seats, no airline seats. It was spaghetti straps and with cord seats, and no bathroom. So we would fly from, when we went to the Philippines, we flew to Bangkok, Thailand, and we had to make a refueling stop in Saigon during the war. And so we pulled in there, landed, and we got off the plane. We had I think we had 2 hours there while they refueled and checked everything, got everything together. And there was this little place run by Vietnamese, and you go in. At the time, I drank Coke, so we went in and had a Coke, or a Fanta or an orange soda or something, and we would hang out and wait, and then we'd go get back on the plane again, and we'd fly to Thailand. And around, of course, Vietnam, we wouldn't fly over the military zone, but airspace. But it was very interesting. I spent 2 weeks in Thailand when I was 10 years old, and I could tell people today that I meet, when I saw the Golden Buddha, I saw the Royal Barge, I saw the snake farm where awesome. Snake handlers handled 10-foot cobras, had 10-foot cobras fully unsheathed, standing on 6 inches of their tail, straight up in the air. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. When there used to be these I don't know, cartoons about a snake handler would have a snake come out of a basket and be playing the flute, and the snake would come out of the basket and stand up. That was very similar to what I saw back then.
Wow.
And, it's just, It was fun. Yeah, these are kind of things this is what I remember. I don't remember, like I said earlier, I don't remember any gifts that I received. It was always something that, an experience that my parents were looking for us to have. Here's one interesting one. Everybody remembers, well, we remember because we're old enough, but in 1972, there was a terrorist event at the 1972 Olympics. And a terrorist came in and unfortunately killed a bunch of people, 16, 18 people, athletes and coaches and the like. And it was a big thing back then. It was in Munich. It was the 1972 Munich Olympics. What was interesting was that our family had visited that Olympic compound and grounds 1 month before that happened.
Wow.
We went to Munich. We spent 2 weeks going around and looking at Garmisch and all of the history that evolved over there from World War II and prior to that, and Innsbruck and Austria. It's really kind of cool. And so the point I'm trying to make here is that for anyone who has a family and doesn't want to, because of their age, or they don't think they're old enough, or whatever, fearing something that may be going on in some part of the world, doesn't actually take them on a plane to some place, I would say do it. You have to do it. You have to create that experience. You never know how it's going to shape them. One thing I can guarantee you is that it will shape them in a positive way. Give them a little slack. Let them be able to engage with the museum, to see the museum, or engage with the area of antiquity that it exists in that part of the world. Take them the language, the different customs, whatever it may be. It was so much fun, and it just makes you a cosmopolitan, well-rounded individual. And it also makes you, it gives you a higher level of grace when it comes to when you're at home, encountering people that aren't like you. It's the one thing. There's this adage that actually it's not an adage. It's more like a fact. The average person in the United States never travels more than 75 miles away from home in their lifetime. 75 miles. It's kind of like the country's huge, and there's a lot to see. There's a lot going on, and my parents took us down Route 66. We went across the country back and forth in a motorhome. We stopped in a lot of the places. I mean, just the four corners in the Southwest. The four corners where Nevada and Arizona and New Mexico and Colorado come together. Wow, you can stand. There's an actual place, the highway. Boom, you get off the highway. Right there, four corners where you can stand. All four family members can stand in a different state all at the same time. It's the most. It's so just fun. You might think it's so simple, but when you're doing it and when you're a kid, it's just something you remember forever. Tolerance is something that you learn when you travel internationally. You have a tolerance for people, and you develop a tolerance for people. And an understanding that there are people out there different than you, but they're more like you than not like you.
Right.
They're more like you. Everybody wants the same thing.
When I went to Tokyo the first time, I was, and that's what I think you learn to appreciate culturally. There are things that are acceptable, and one thing, because there's so many people in Japan, when you get on the subway, or when I first got into the airport, I was being pushed, and I really prefer my own personal space, and I thought, geez, what's going on? And then my sister explained to me, because she was living overseas at the time, that they were actually pushers, that they push you into the subway. They try to get as many people into the subway that they can, or onto the train, whatever it is. And for me, it was, I like space. So once I got outside of Tokyo proper, I enjoyed the city. It was a beautiful city. But I really enjoyed like Kamakura and Nikko, and just seeing like the country and being away from everything. And I really am happy, Michael, that you brought up the fact that there are so many different places, even within the United States, to see. The diversity of each state, I can go from, I'm on the western side of Pennsylvania, just driving across the state. I find there's things that I never knew existed, and I still have yet to discover. I've heard about it from many different people, is the Grand Canyon of Pennsylvania. Did you know there was a Grand Canyon in Pennsylvania?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
No, I've seen the Grand Canyon of Hawaii. Yes.
Yeah, isn't that
Where is it in Pennsylvania? You got a Grand Canyon
it's sort of,
there. Huh?
Yeah, sort of in the center of the state, and it's supposed to be quite phenomenal. When I was young, and you talk about experiences, my parents took us into caves. That was something that they liked to do.
Oh yeah.
And for me, just the scope of what was inside the earth was eye-opening. It was a whole new world. It was a whole new world.
Carlsbad Caverns.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico. When I was a kid, we went there. We went through there. Brilliant place. What else, what was your favorite cavern?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question. We where I went to university, we have the Laurel Cavern. So that was my most I guess the biggest experience here in Pennsylvania. But I remember, again, being on the West Coast, and my parents taking us, and there was a little mining town, and we got to pan for gold. Little things like that. I mean, it was just, did I find anything? No, not really. And I still have the photos in my photo of me rolling up my sleeves and throwing dirt in.
Here's the question: was it Northern California? Was it Northern California?
It was it was Northern California.
Up in the foothills?
What? I don't remember the exact.
Gold was discovered in Coloma, and it's a great experience to go over there and actually. I mean, the gold is seeded, of course, but in the where you pan for gold. But every kid should pan for gold. It's so much fun. Every child should pan for gold. I mean, it is amazing. If you can get your family and adults have fun with it too. It's an amazing experience that you remember for a lifetime. You did that. It's a bit of history that you can actually live yourself, and that's what's so much fun.
Yeah, and when I was living in Canada, we would always go on these weekend adventures. My parents were always good about that, taking us so that we could see different things. And there's an area in Alberta called Drumheller, and they excavated thousands of dinosaurs, and they have some really amazing museums and whatnot. And I found I think that was sort of where I got my affinity towards crystals. I found a big, huge citrine that was encased in a rock, just walking around looking for my thoughts of finding dinosaur bones. But little things like that is an experience. And I've always felt a kinship. Here in Pittsburgh, Andrew Carnegie was also fascinated with the dinosaurs, and we have an amazing collection here at the Carnegie Museum. So, even if you don't have an opportunity to see it where you're growing up, you can find a museum where you can visit it, and you really get a scale of what a turtle was like. It dwarfs me. One of the old tortoises.
It's true. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my mother grew up in
Washington.
That's what
it is. Oh, did she?
My mother grew up in Washington, D.C., so when we used to go back to see the uncle who raised her, we would always go to the Smithsonian. They have a wonderful they have several wonderful museums, and since then they've developed more. However, their museum of natural history with dinosaurs is just impeccable. It's amazing. I've seen several across the country, that one and the one in San Diego. Down there as well. Just they're spectacular. I'm fascinated by prehistoric era. It's just so cool. I haven't been to Dinosaur National Monument yet, which is in Utah. However, I have done fossil hunting in California, and I actually did one experience that I had to do it. And I won't do it again, but I had to do it. Which was there's a cave in California in the foothills called Moaning Cavern. And it's called Moaning Cavern because the Indians at the time called it Moaning Cavern because they heard moaning from the cavern from somebody who'd fallen in, and they didn't know that somebody had fallen into this cavern. The cavern goes down 175 feet. And the spelunkers who explored that cave later actually went down another 400 feet, which is really kind of interesting. So they have a tour that you can take, you can sign up for. And what you do is you spelunk through the original opening of the cavern. Instead of going in the tourist way, where you walk downstairs and all that, and it's lit. It's like a big stomach. It's small opening at the top, and then it really opens up, and there's a bottom, and you can spelunk through the top. Sign up for the original way, the adventure, the spelunking adventure, and you can also sign up for the spelunking and the other cave adventure, which we both did. My brother and I did that. Spelunk down on the slippery sides, came in the original small opening, went down 175 feet by rope and rappelling, and then we actually darned these clothes, these duds, so to speak, and we went down into the little crevices and holes and all that, down 400 feet. That is a real interesting tour. I tell you, I did things that you talk about challenging yourself and challenging your fears. There was something called the pancake that you had to once you get down there, by the way, there's no light, except for what's on your head. You know, you have a miner's helmet. There were 8 of us. And so there's no, you don't get scared. If you're scared, you got to go right through the fear. And so there was something called a rabbit hole you had to climb through, which was probably about 2 feet across, 2 feet in diameter. It was a hole that you had to crawl through and get to the other side because there was no going back. And then there was the pancake, which was an 8-foot long, 2 8-foot-long flat rocks that formed an open 2 pancakes, and you had to literally turn your head sideways and slide and squirm that whole 8 feet to get to the other side. You talk about, we're talking about something that
Good thing you didn't have a maquette, right?
Yeah, funny. You didn't. You couldn't do it on your back with your head looking at the ceiling, which was literally right at your nose. You had to turn your head sideways because that's the only way you were going to get your head through the opening. And you squirmed through like a little lizard. You squirmed on your back, and it was. Yeah, it's like you're sitting. If I had known, would I have done this had I known that I had to do this through this little? You're a couple hundred feet underground, okay? So, and California is a seismic state, so there is that. And so, all I can tell you is that sometimes when you sign up for the strangest experiences, they're the ones you remember the most, and they also challenge you to blast beyond your fears and concerns. And it was great. We came out all slimy and dirty, and then we walked back up the 175 feet of stairs. And I've rappelled twice, but I've only done the subterranean adventure once. That was all I needed to do it. But I haven't talked to too many people. The question always is, if you knew exactly what it was like before you went or we were offered to go, would you do it? Right? That's it goes back to Glenn Brooks, right? Glenn Brooks. What would you do if you knew it
was impossible
it would be impossible to fail? Well, it's always impossible to fail if you mentally prepare yourself for that. If you basically tell yourself, no, I am succeeding. It's not I'm not failing, because that's reinforcing a negative. It's I will succeed. I will succeed at this. That's what I told Glenn all the time. It's you have to state things in the positive, in a purposeful manner, and according to your self-talk. And you'd be amazed at the energy and the power that you can amass by doing just that, by speaking positively and purposefully.
Hmm. But I think when you do something like that, Michael, with somebody, with one family member, or as a group family, or even with friends, not only are you building trust, and you laugh, I think, at the silly things, like you said, smashing yourself through like a pancake and like squirming like a lizard. You can look back and laugh, even though it may not have been funny at the time. And you share the same fear, so you can kind of have some empathy towards that. But I think it does. It makes you stronger. There's a connection that you gain with somebody when you go through experiences like that you wouldn't
Correct.
have had otherwise.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
In the corporate environment, they use it, it's team building. But I think for families, that it can bring you closer together. And sometimes because you're down, obviously cell phones don't work in the cavern. So, you're forced to be fully present. There's just the sounds, and you're using different parts of your senses. You're creating a greater awareness. I think it's a fantastic metaphor. And perhaps maybe, and perhaps maybe that's where you seek things out. I mean, it doesn't always have to be adventure seeking, but the first time that I ever went whitewater rafting, you get in the boat and you have a guide, and they give you like the 5-minute. This is how you paddle, and when you go into the raft, paddle like this, and if you happen to fall out of the boat, put your feet up and ride the wave down, and they. You think when you're setting out early in the morning, like 6 hours later, you don't realize how good food tastes, and all the different
warm clothes feel.
Things. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Warm clothes feel. Yeah, I love it.
But there's
You've
parts and when you're going down in the hole, going down the river, that there are some places that are just really tranquil, and you can just sit and relax and really enjoy that time in the camaraderie with the people that you're with, and really again be fully present. It's we don't have those opportunities. People are distracted by email or their phone or whatever else is going on, and to be fully present with the people in your family is, to me, worth its weight in gold. It really is, because
I agree.
The times that I look at even my nieces. I remember them. It sounds so cliche. I remember when you were born, and now my one niece is 15, and she'll be 16 and driving, and think, oh my gosh, I remember what I was doing when I was 16, and she has the whole world ahead of her. But it goes by in the blink of an eye, and so to be able to really seize those moments and to really embrace the challenges that come towards you, and something. So and perhaps maybe adventuring is not your cup of tea. Even just going to the aviary or the zoo, or taking a drive. I'm in the Northeast, so the leaves are changing. And to be able to do that is really a gift. And
people talk about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about it all the time here. What is it? Leaves are changing right now for you up there?
Yes, they are. Not so much as just starting to. Yeah.
I want you to take a nice when they get to be in full blossom and color. I want you to take a picture for our Instagram page, because I really want to see what they look like. It's been a while since I've seen trees in the Northeast. I lived in upstate New York for a year one time, and I know how beautiful the maples and others can be up there. They're just absolutely spectacular. And I would love to see it. I would love to see it. The bottom line here, more than anything else, for our listeners is for me, I think what we're attempting to do here is to get our listeners to take to step out of their comfort zone and go do something that they would not have otherwise attempted to do. Or, it doesn't have to be attempt. Kind of maybe might imply that it's dangerous, but it's not. just something different. Step out of your comfort zone and go do something that you might have thought about but just kind of swept under the carpet because you were busy in life, and that you were raising a family, or and you were working hard, whatever. What passes us by as we're so busy in our lives is life itself. It passes us by. We get into our little groove. We stay there. Weekends come. We're tired. We're famished, and we basically slip into our normal routine, watching football or soccer or baseball or whatever, escapism kind of activities, instead of actually getting out and bypassing all of that to do something different. I got to tell you something very interesting. Today, my niece who is in she's a stand-in. She's playing the role of Eliza as a stand-in in the touring Hamilton production, and
wow,
she's a brilliant gal, great voice, awesome. She's starred in just about everything she's ever been in. However, she's going on stage tonight for the first time, and as an understudy. Yeah, as an understudy. And I say that because she does something very interesting. Wherever she goes, and she toured as the star of Waitress last year. She played Jenna, all for 12 months. And every city they went to, whether it was only for the day or whatever, while other people were in the hotel sleeping or just doing whatever, she got out, she got in a cab, and she went to see something. She went to see museums or sites, whatever it was that she could see that was unique to the area, to broaden her horizons. And unfortunately, a lot of people who toured in the company didn't do that. They just relaxed or slept or watched television or whatever they did. And I always admire her for that, being that she's only, I think she's 25 years old, and she is so adventurous. As my mother, at 6 months old, she was in a backpack. We were trekking around the UK for 2 weeks when she was 6 months.
That's amazing.
And that was a cool thing. It was a really cool. We were in some apartments and other larger hotel rooms and suites, and it was just awesome. She was a very adventurous, eyes wide open 6-month-old, and she was a joy to be around. And it's nice to see that now at 25, that sense of adventure is still with her. And it's because it's not an accident. It's on purpose. You can help instill that in your children. You can instill it in your significant other. If they've not been somebody who has been adventurous, you can suggest things and go do things and broaden your horizons. It's an amazing thing. I always admire her for that, though. Always do.
And sometimes it can be. I took a sea vegetable cooking class. That was macrobiotic food, and I will tell you, I would make a terrible Japanese person because I'm not fond of seaweed. But I know how good it is for you. And so when I took this cooking class, guess what? I broadened my horizons, and I sort of had to put down my preconceived notions as to what this stuff tasted like. And the food was amazing. And I always have kombu in my cupboard now because it helps whenever you cook beans, so that you don't have any digestive upset. There were so many little bits of nuggets of knowledge that I took, and it was just one night a week for 6 weeks. And as the woman who held the cooking class did it in her condominium, and then everybody got to eat, and I met some really nice individuals that shared a curiosity. And it was sort of something very different, and it was not very expensive. I think it was maybe $45, something very inexpensive. And
That's great.
yeah, it was nice and she gave you the recipes and even dessert. There was even dessert in the
Was it
vegetables.
mochi or was it
No,
mochi?
actually, I mean, some of them. One of them was even like a pie that was made with it. It was delicious.
Wonderful.
With berries and whatnot. Yeah. So
all right,
yeah,
you've had the full experience.
Yeah, but something like that would be sort of a fun thing, thing to do with a family. There's lots of different adventure parks, but sometimes it's, even just something as like, going to visit some of the used bookstores. I'm a huge bookphile. I love old books. I love snooping through old bookstores and finding books that are out of print and, adding it to my collection. I mean, I think the books have become my friends over the years. And, something like that is a fun adventure and sort of that you can do with a family.
Yeah, you can. I mean, I don't know if kids are going to think books are so exciting, which is a shame, but especially after, if you're in school and things, you're lugging these books around all day and I'm going to go to a bookstore. Oh, wow. There are wonderful adventures to be had out there in the world, everywhere, and I love it. It's fun, and definitely want to encourage all of our listeners on PRN FM here to embrace the Glenn Brooks mantra of taking part in something. Challenge yourself to take part in something, with the knowledge that there is no failure. It's just you're doing something. You're engaging in it. Our country is obsessed. The world is obsessed with pass or fail. Did you fail? Did you succeed? Failure is nothing more than an opportunity to learn and to expand your horizons. That's all it is. There's no failure. You did something. You did something different. Did you do it to the best that of better than somebody else, I should say, or as good as you thought you would? Maybe not initially. If you like it, do it again. And pursue it with some grace and open-mindedness. And you never can tell what will happen. Some things do require skill and effort and knowledge. You just can't go in there and do them one time. Some things do. And I think the brilliance of this is that it's about expanding your horizons. It's about challenging yourself to find new things that you have an interest in. And also discovering your own talents and gifts. That's a big part of it. You never can tell. I love archaeology. I'm not an archaeologist. I didn't go study it. However, I've been to enough archaeological sites in my life to enjoy the thrill of archaeology, although it may look like watching paint dry. It may seem like that to somebody. It's
treasure hunting, right? So today,
exactly.
It sometimes things come up in unexpected ways. So today, I live where my dogs are. There's a big cemetery, and then the yard. There's a big hill, and people used to dump. I mean, it's amazing. I've had that house for over 20 years, and I still find glass. I still find things. So whenever there's a rainstorm or whatever, new things are unearthed. It's like an archaeological dig. And so today when I was, cleaning up some different debris and things like that so that the deer and other animals don't hurt themselves, I found an antique milk bottle from the auto dairy, which it's a big, when back in the day you used to get your milk delivered in a bottle.
Oh, yeah.
And it wasn't broken. I mean, it was filled with dirt. I don't know how it unearthed and it didn't get broken. But I actually have an auto milk crate. I don't know what it dates back to when they stopped delivering milk, but it's pretty old. And so I brought it in and just rinsed it off, and it just sort of, it was an unexpected find in my day. So I empathize, and I can totally appreciate your love of archaeology, the things that come up and are unearthed from before. But when you would talk about Glenn's quote, what would you do if you knew it was impossible to fail? And I used to think about that because you always think that it has to be some grandiose achievement. that you have
Yeah,
to undertake. It can be something very simple,
right.
just whatever it is. And it doesn't have to be just one thing. Once you accomplish something, then, the world really truly is your oyster. You have so many different accesses to so many opportunities each day. It's just opening your eyes. And like you said, Michael, when you start to unearth, what is it that you're unearthing even within yourself? And we've been talking about, this journey of self-discovery. And it's a lot like that. What are you discovering? What serves you? What doesn't serve you? What is important? What would you like to learn? There's so much still that lies ahead, no matter what age you are in your life, whether you're 60 or like my aunt who is 100. It's so fascinating to talk to her because she still lives by herself and intends to do so until she takes her last breath. And the things that she still really enjoys reading, and it's amazing how many books that she goes through. And I'm grateful that she still has her eyesight and is able to do that.
It's wonderful. This is going to be my mother's 94th birthday as well, and she lives by herself and drives and gets on a plane and flies to see my sister in Southern California, from Northern California, and it's really wonderful. I had many hours of conversation with Glenn Brooks about the concept of many of his ideas, and it's a shame he's not with us anymore. However, what he left is I'm sure made a big impression on those that knew him the best. Knew who he was and what his life mantras were, and it is really unique. And there's no perfect individual. However, I think everybody has something that they can impart to the world that can help humanity, help another human being. And it's the perception that you will fail keeps a lot of people from actually pursuing their goals, intentions, and dreams, those they come up with. And because it's interesting. It's a concept I call micro-macro. And I was talking to a friend of mine who I've been mentoring here for the last couple of years, and he's 37, going to be 38 next week. And micro-macro, a lot of times people focus on the micro of something instead of the macro picture, the big picture. The micro is what you have to do, the steps you have to take to actually get there. If you get caught up in the steps, in making judgments about them, negative perceptions, you develop negative perceptions about the steps, and you judge yourself all along the way, then the micro picture gets lost. I mean, the macro picture gets lost, the big picture. And you have to remain focused on the end game to whatever it is that you're pursuing, so that you can embrace and enjoy the journey of the steps that it takes to get there. Certain things, being an archaeologist is awesome. I can be an amateur archaeologist by signing up as a volunteer with a New York University or any other university that's going to do a dig around the world. And when I lived in Turkey, New York University was basically involved in most of the digs that were occurring in that country, and I was able to talk to some people at the time as a teenager. I visited many historical sites and Greco-Roman sites and the like, and get a sense for it. I visited the Acropolis when I was 13. Went to Rome when I was 12, and saw the Vatican and the Sistine Chapel while it was smoked over. I actually saw it twice. Smoked over, with the soot, and then after the restoration, went back after the restoration about 20 years ago, and it was brilliant. It was amazing. What a night and day difference. You don't have to necessarily go to Rome or anywhere else, or Pompeii or these other, or the Acropolis in Athens. There are many things, historical sites even here in the United States. The cave dwellings in Arizona, the indigenous cave dwellings cliff dwellings, are absolutely spectacular. And you can kind of transport yourself back in time And you can also see the hardships that many people went through in order to live and survive in that time frame. And it gives you an appreciation for where you are now and how easy we have it. Walking to a grocery store to buy food versus having to go out and, make it happen on a daily basis. These are, in my view, the impossibility. The impossible isn't impossible. It's just something that is. And the word impossible is really a perception that we have to get over if we're to expand our own horizons and our own thinking, our own experiences in life. Now, I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I'm not too interested in jumping out of an airplane. Some people are.
Right.
And, I got a buddy who did it on his 50th birthday. I've seen many people do it. I think that's fantastic. I've been whitewater rafting like you and got the same talk. It's like, now this raft goes. If this raft tips over, and you're going, wait a minute, it can tip over. yeah. We hit some rough rapids because we are dealing with the uncontrollable here. We're dealing with Mother Nature. We may get to a part here where we get into some number threes, and we could, anything could happen. Make sure that you, come back up and put your feet in front of you so that you make sure you don't, that your feet cushion you when you come against rocks. I'm going, come against rocks? It's so amazing what can happen once you're in the boat and you're getting to talk. You're going like, can I leave now? No, you can't. You're here. You're stuck with the journey, and that's the point of no return. That point of no return is a great place to be because you commit at that particular point, and now everything is possible. Everything is possible. It's that point of commitment.
Exactly.
That point where the guy said, okay, we're going down now, and we can't turn around and go back. We're already in 50 feet. And it's too dark in here to turn around and go back. That was the talk I got when I went into the caves. There is no going back. So you're only going forward because there's nobody to take you back. And I'm like, okay. And if we all, then that's the pivotal moment where you say, I will succeed. I am succeeding at this. No matter what it takes, I am succeeding. I can't chicken out and go somewhere else. It's a fabulous feeling. My gosh, it is a feeling. I know you felt it. You just talked about so many different ways that you felt it. We want our listeners to feel it. It is spectacular. Let their kids feel it. Let the youth of this country feel what it's like to be in that situation, in that environment, and not just go to what's comfortable about, going to the Instagram spots and taking pictures or just not going at all. It's being there in the moment is the most dazzling experience that you could have, and it sticks with you, again, forever. It's sticky. Those are sticky moments in your life. You want those.
You're absolutely right. And, I think that there is no dream that is too wild to pursue. Nothing that is truly impossible. You think about that impossible dream. It seems like it's so far away. And it really isn't. I think that's where the illusion is, that it's your desire to overcome any fears, and then, as you said, you walk through that door, but you get to the point where you walk through, and as you keep moving forward, there's lots of turns and lots of different things that may be uncomfortable, and you may have to turn your head and change your perspective just for a short time. But as you keep moving through, doors will open, things will happen, and then before you know it, you'll see what was at the light at the end of the tunnel. Not just from your headlamp. It's truly, truly amazing. I think so many times it's just that illusion of fear that keeps us stagnant. And, I just want to thank you again, Michael, because that video was so inspiring, and it made me really, even myself take note and really look at the experiences and just, okay, we're winding down another year before another year begins. What is it that I want to experience for myself? And one of the things that I really appreciated about Tim Ferriss's book and the reminder of the 4-hour work week is that we don't really have to work 8 hours. We've been trained to think, okay, I've got to go to this job and it's 9 to 5, and what does it take? How much time does it take to actually accomplish that task? Like, really, when you look at it, things don't really take that long. This morning I had to do some painting that I wasn't really expecting. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to make this fun. I'm going to see how long it really takes somebody to do this when I would have somebody else do. And it was less than 2 hours.
Yeah, it's not that long.
I was covered in paint, and but I cleaned up everything and got in the shower and threw away I actually wasn't covered in paint from painting. I had a drop cloth that was just a plastic drop cloth, and when I went to pick up the drop cloth, there was some pools of paint that splashed up on me. So that's all right.
And listen,
that's all right.
Okay, truth be told, I spent 3 days painting barn doors, and now I have to paint. I have to stain the inside of the barn and the inside of some barn doors. So I commiserate with you in this in the beauty of being able to the beauty of accomplishment. Really, what it is. My girlfriend says, "Oh, I'm sorry I had to do this." I said, "Listen, I really enjoy doing this. It's fun. I've got a very steady hand. I can paint trim with left or right hand, very steady. And it's just a skill that I don't use very often. I'm not a painter by trade. However, I enjoy it. And what you do when you take on those missions that don't require a serious skill set, like a carpenter or something like that requires a lot of knowledge. What you do is you gain this sense of knowing about yourself, and it bolsters your own self-confidence, and that's something that you can transfer to a lot of other things. The sense of accomplishment that you get, that I know I get, and I know you felt it when you were done with it. You did it by yourself, and you look at it and go, "Yeah, I did that," and I didn't just hire somebody to do it.
Yeah. And I sort of felt like I was in no time. Like, even though I thought, oh, how long does this take? I focused on the boards that I was painting, staining, and I was like, oh, look at how much I got done. But I didn't look at it as a burden. It was just it was an experience. It was an experience. It was a beautiful sunny day. It felt great to be outside, and it was done before I knew it.
One of the things, the only thing I can tell our listeners is that if you're going to do something that you've never done before, make sure that you have a positive perception about yourself doing whatever it is. Maintain a positive perception about your ability to do it, about yourself, about, if you don't know what you need to know, you will learn it, that you can go somewhere and you can learn how, and you can try. Just have a positive perception of doing it, because having a negative perception of do it does not make it fun. Number one, it makes it drudgery, and it makes it the kind of experience that you don't really learn something from. You want a positive experience, so have a positive perception on your way to doing something that you're going to do, because it would be impossible to fail. It's a great perception. Absolutely. And
awesome. In the immortal words of Glenn Brooks, your lives are precious. Enjoy it. And that's another one that I truly embody, and really am so grateful, for that reminder every day. And I'm grateful to you, Michael, and to our audience for listening. And I'm eager to hear about the experiences everybody is going to undertake. And what is it that you would do if you knew it was impossible to fail? And Michael, I'll let you close out the show.
Well, I got about 30 seconds here.
No, you got a little bit longer.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, let's see, something that I think I've mentioned this before, but I want to work with my hands. I want to work with either clay or stone, sandstone, something to sculpt something. I really want to be able to do that, to sculpt, to whatever comes to mind with my hands. I want to work with my hands and work with a natural compound to just see what happens. I see other people have done some amazing things, and I know I have the capability of creating something really cool. I just have to do it. Put myself in a situation where I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So,
we'll make that so. That's one. Yeah, we will.
It'll happen. It'll happen.
It will. know it will. All right.
It's awesome.
Thank you. And so grateful and wishing everybody an amazing week, and looking forward to the next time that we connect when the stars align here on Connect to Love.
So true.